Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back. We are starting quarter 4, session 31. However, today in quarter 4 we have a little backlog of quarter 3. Earlier, we used to just give you some links of internet sites where a lot of free literature is available. But those who have come with us till session 30 with patience, they are certainly taking their English quite seriously. So, at this stage, it may not be a bad idea to make some suggestions regarding reading which authors would benefit them regarding improving their English. Of course, I am not telling here about good literature only, okay? Because there are many authors who are very good as authors, whose books are excellent literature, but then for that a lot of time and a lot of patience is needed. All of you may not have that. Okay. So, here I will give you a few suggestions on which authors to read if you do not have enormous amount of time and if your reading speed is right now not very high. In that case, you would need those books or those authors, that style of stories and the kind of stories which get hold of you and pull you. Okay. So, you perhaps do not have enormous amount of time to relish very deep good literature for a long time, because then midway you may get stuck with a lot of work and your flow may stop. Okay. So, right now we are talking about flow, those stories, those authors which will get hold of you and not let you easily. So, first round, say you read these authors. Satyajit Ray books are originally Bengali, but they have been translated, and that itself gives you 35 stories over 2000 pages, and these are detective stories to begin with and very beautifully written, and originally they were written in simple Bengali, because it was supposed to be for youngsters, okay, 14 years, 16 years, 18 years, 20 years and so on. Okay. But interestingly, even a 50-year-old man would find these stories interesting. Apart from being in simple language, make note that when a translator translates a book from one language to another, he is trying to convey the original story. He is not typically trying to show his great style in the language in which he is translating, and typically such translations are in simple language, and these books particularly are in simple language because their original was also very simple, and these stories are very well written, interesting, and since there is a mystery, so you cannot stop it easily, you need to see the solution, and they are written in a very jovial style, so you proceed very fast. And these other books are also, other authors also have a very fast pace, that you want to know always what happens next, what happens next, and reading every page and turning is relatively easy. Next round you can go to these. R. Stanley Gardner is again detective stories. There the hero is actually a lawyer, okay, and those stories are quite fast. Okay. Isaac Asimov is science fiction. Agatha Christie is detective story, very famous. Again, at by this time I am expecting that your reading speed will improve, your language skills will also improve, and so you will be able to read and appreciate and enjoy Tolkien, Wodehouse and Conan Doyle. If you can enjoy up to this segment and ask for more, then that means your English is good. Okay? But then if you go into literature, then before you put a stop, you must read some of the classics, and greatest are perhaps these, and of course Charles Dickens. So, Charles Dickens I have not mentioned because Charles Dickens is relatively slow. Okay? But Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte you must read, and of course many other things you can read. So far as grammar is concerned, our suggestion is Nesfield and Nesfield only. Okay? There are some good books on vocabulary building which you may read at your leisure, and they are very interesting reading. With these things we continue, and so what next? Now we have got over 11,000 registrants. Out of them I am sure 1,000 are doing it seriously, and in between we have chalked out module 4 and module 3 got executed first time, okay, with you. What next? The next questions are, what can you do and what do you intend to do? One question arises, why should we do anything? I have learned my English, okay, but make note that you have learnt your English, or somebody says that in my age not much anyway can be learned, fine, but how do you ensure that those others who are dear to you, how do you ensure that they learn, they are not deprived of this important necessity in their professional life? So, you cannot ensure that individually unless all of us together guarantee a system, a society in which it comes as a matter of routine. Okay? So, therefore, if many of you take up the banner and continue, not necessarily through exactly the ways by which I am showing this course, but with the same intention, with the same objectives, then a lot can be accomplished. For example, we have seen that from 910 to 11,000 we have come within a span of 2 years. Now, what can happen over the next 2 years? In 2016, perhaps we succeed in one more classroom round and one more online version. Perhaps 20 of you succeed in your endeavors in replicating the program. Perhaps EPP versions are developed with 3 or 4 other languages as the common local language, and out of those 3 or 4 languages, perhaps one is Russian. Anything is possible, you never know. Okay? Then in 2017, what can happen? Perhaps a total number of 40 different centers of EPP develop at several places. Perhaps improvements and better alternatives emerge. Perhaps many teachers and schools and coaching classes implement EPP versions and its alternatives regularly in their classrooms. Then what happens in 2018? Perhaps there will be 12,34,567 registrants or associates in EPP courses. If that happens, I am not telling that it will happen, but it is not impossible. If this happens, then you and I will know that we have put in motion a system so that 7 years later, when these children come out of their school, 2025 onwards, completing school with an acceptable level of English proficiency would be common, just like riding a bicycle or verifying the grocery bills. So, it will be that common, okay? And then you and I will no more need to worry about this largest reason of unemployability of your children and other favorite youngsters in whose careers, in whose life you have an interest. I am continuing in quarter 4 with a lot of expectation that this idea, this theme will be taken up by others and continued forward. Okay. At this stage, we need to clear a few administrative issues. In the um, in the interface, recently I wrote an announcement in which I mentioned that in view of the large number of assignments submitted, it is not feasible to grade all of them, and therefore, our first priority will be to concentrate on the grading of the assignments submitted by those people, those participants who are appearing in the exam and trying to acquire a certificate. However, apart from these people who are appearing in the exam, there are quite a good number of people who have been very regularly following through the course and submitting assignments. And they are actually real assets of the project, and therefore, we want to spend some amount of our active effort in evaluating their assignments also. And our definition of really serious participants of the course is that those who are going to submit at least 30 to 35 assignments out of 40, they are certainly very serious participants, and they are the assets of the program. And therefore, at this stage, when we are running session 31, which means up to session 26 have gone, and for which the assignments have been due. So, out of these, those who have already submitted more than 20 assignments, we call them serious participants, and therefore, we are interested in grading or evaluating their assignments and trying to see how well the course progresses in the real academic sense, away from exams and marks and certificates. But then it is a problem for us to identify those participants who have submitted 20 or more, okay? Because for that purpose we will need to search through thousands of mails, which is not a good idea. Therefore, those of you who have already submitted more than 20 assignments, to them I make this request that please drop a mail to this address, epp@iitk.ac.in, with the subject line more than 20 assignments. Okay. So, the moment we receive your mail at this address with this subject line, we will get your email address, and from that it will become very easy for us to look through the thousands of emails that are sitting in the PLT course site. Okay. So, then we can quickly see some of you have submitted 24 assignments, some of you have submitted 25, 23, 22, and those participants we will keep in a particular special database whose assignments we will go through seriously. Others also we are going through seriously, but for a different purpose, this one for a purely academic purpose. Okay. Okay. So, now we come to the actual discussion of the course material. I have already discussed with you that in the 3 quarters that we have covered, we have basically done 3 important things. One is, of course, apart from the letters part of it. Okay. So, one, we have covered a large number of words in word families, for which the summary was given here. So, this is the entire summary of all the word families that we have covered, and that covers the vowel sound patterns. Okay. And apart from that, we covered a segment on syntax, and in that the major mainstream part of the discussion basically concentrated on the development of major forms of sentences. And in that we have quite a few things to revisit, and this was the sheet, this was the slide which we earlier saw without these annotations. Now, you see, each of these is actually like a seed of a number of sentences, and from this, for example, you can actually get 9 sentences. Okay. So, out of the subject part, you take we, I or he. In fact, 9 as already written here. Okay. But in place of we, you put any other plural subject. Okay. In place of he, you put any other singular subject other than I and you. So, it will be the similar structure. So, 9 sentences already are there contained in this seed. Okay. And similarly, say this one. So, here we have got a total of how many sentences? 3 into 12, 36 sentences. Okay. Because if you take the straightforward question, like are we given something, okay, whatever you put after this is immaterial for the purpose of the study of the structure of the sentences. So, if you put the straightforward question, are we given, then that is one kind of sentence. Okay. So, that is the first line, the third line, and so on. Okay. First line, third line, and fifth line. And then if you expect that we are actually given, and you will be surprised if it turns out that we are not given, and then you want to ask the question of clarification, and then you ask, are we not given? In that case, a not comes here. Normally, not comes here is a very simple statement, but it does not remain simple if will be is the case, if it is future. In that case, be drops from here and goes to support given, okay, the verb which it is supporting at present. Okay. And okay, even if not does not come, in this case the subject itself will cause the same effect. Okay. In this case, the subject itself will cause the same effect. Okay. So, the corresponding sentences are in the rows 2, 4, and 6. And then, if it is not a simple interrogative sentence, but a query, okay, why are we given? Okay. Then that WH word comes in the beginning, and then the corresponding 6 rows are here. Okay. So, in this case also, in the passive voice, be would come here. So, this seed gives rise to 36 sentences. Okay. This seed gives rise to 9 and so on. Okay. So, it is a worthwhile exercise to open each of these seeds and see if all the sentences make sense and whether we are capable of making all the sentences correctly. Okay. Every student should verify that he is making all the sentences correctly. So, just look at the seed and try to construct all kinds of sentences from here, and then verify whether all of them are correct. You see, there are 2 issues involved here that I am suggesting in the exercise. One is to see that you are making the sentences correct. Okay. And the second is that the sentences themselves that get framed by this seed are valid sentences. For example, if we had not gone through a little carefully and by the pattern present, past, future, present, past, future, if we had filled those patterns here also, then we would be giving rise to some sentences which are invalid. Okay? And by that analysis, that whether all the sentences coming out of it are really valid, you will very clearly notice that the future case here will not make sense. Okay? So, who knows, out of all these that are still there, perhaps some seed taking some option gives rise to wrong sentence. So, on your own, for your side, for your satisfaction, you should verify that all these seeds are really correct. Okay? And from the seeds, all the sentences that you can construct are really valid sentences, and they appear in the form in which the seed will generate them. Okay? So, the seed should not generate some mutant which cannot exist. Okay? So, this is the purpose of putting these annotations here, which are to help. So, in the exercise also for today, we have got some exercise in which you will be asked to frame some sentences from some of the seeds. Okay. Some time back, I told you that apart from the stress on letters in this course till now, in the 3 quarters, we have done 3 broad works. Okay. We covered 3 broad items. One was the vocabulary, which we covered through word families, and in that whatever does not fit in the rule, in the logic, so we tried to mention those samples as exceptions. And the second was this tense structure, which we started since session 3, we completed in session 29, in which finally we culminated in the structure major forms of sentences, this one, in which the entire tense structure has been summarized. And in the study of syntax, whatever does not conform to these rules exactly, or whatever is special inside them, which an Indian student, or let us say a non-English or non-European student is likely to confuse. So, those things in between through separate sessions we tried to cover. In that category, I would put the techniques of interpretation and expression, then special items like articles and phrases which are specific to English. When I say specific to English, I mean that different from Indian languages, okay? Because they may be similar in many other European languages also. So, such specific items like articles and phrases we covered, which are either not used in Indian languages, or the purpose is covered in different manners. Besides, because of certain limitations on the usual normal syntax rules of English, there are some special structures which we covered separately in some sessions in between, like dummy subjects, the topic of complements, and then the structures like have to and used to. Okay. Apart from that, throughout the course at different contexts, we gave special importance to the different rules of special verbs like do, will, be, have, supporting the main verbs of the sentence. Apart from that, at the end, in the summary of supporting action and the list of special verbs, we gave particular coverage to other special verbs, including defective ones, other than do, will, be, and have. For example, can, must, should. So, these verbs are very small in number, they are handful, but they have some special ideas, special arrangements in which they appear, okay? And they have some very specialized rules which operate only for these handful of verbs, and in some cases a particular rule operates for only one or two verbs, even that is the case in some situations, okay? So these special structures and special items are the topics which typically confuse a learner from non-English or non-European backgrounds, in particular Indian students. And therefore, while learning English, more so while teaching English, we need to give special emphasis and special coverage to these items, and try to ensure that these issues and these structures in English is not confused by us and students, children who typically do not come from an English environment. Beyond this, there are issues both in vocabulary and in syntax, and of course in the overall idea of composition, which in the straitjacketed necessary component of quarters 1 to 3 could not be accommodated, and those issues of vocabulary and syntax we will be covering in the coming sessions. Thank you.